All right. Well, howdy, folks. Jason Perry with iCast Enterprises, and just wanting to let you know we're going to get started very soon. We're having a little technical difficulties, and it's on my end, I believe. I do have another guest here that I'll bring up that was in a Zoom with us just a minute ago. And so, Dan, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Jason, for the opportunity. And my name is Dan Gunadi. I'm out of the Los Angeles area. I own a company that does fractional CXO. If you're a larger company, the target is mostly for CTO. If you're a smaller company, it could be Chief AI Officer or Automation Officer. My background is fully in technology and software, and I love to hear from Maury because he's an amazing person that you will be amazed at. And so my role here is really just to ask questions, understanding. I've built businesses, sold businesses, help startups, and part of a larger companies like IBM and Kaiser Permanente and things like that. So I'm here to ask questions and learn from Maury and Jason.
Awesome, awesome. And Maury is just now coming in. So, Maury, give me just a second. We'll add you to the scene. And so, folks, this is the guest of honor for today's show, Maury White. Maury White is the founder and creator of Stirling Innovations, and he has been in the industry of Stirling engines and solar for going on 60 years now, pushing pretty close. So, I'm gonna let Maury just kind of give a little bit of his background, and Maury, tell us when did you start your career working with Stirling engines?
Well, while I was still working on my master's degree at UCLA, I began working full time at Atomics International in Canoga Park, California, and was assigned to work one of my first jobs with Ted Finkelstein, who they had just hired because he had come up with a concept for what was called a free piston Stirling engine. He is one of the pioneers of Stirling machines, the first person ever to earn a PhD in Stirling cycle machines in England back in the early in the 50s. And I started working with him in 1962 at Atomics International. So we worked for a year and a half there and made progress. A free piston Stirling machine that got shut down within the AI operation, Atomics International, but was a few years later was reduced to practice by a colleague of Ted's, and I continued working back with it from 1966 until present through a series from McDonnell Douglas to University of Washington to Infinia Corporation. And now I've spun off in Stirling Innovations as my company a couple of years ago.
And so, folks, as you just heard, he's been in the industry for a little while, and we'll get a little deeper into that. One of the things that really amazes me is I've heard a lot of people say, well, those Stirling engines, they've been around for a long time, and they have. What I want to address real quick is this isn't your grandpa or grandma's Stirling engine. The Delta Stirling engine is a whole different beast than the old kinesthetic Stirling engine. So I'll let Maury just give a quick introduction to that. And like I said, I think Dan's got a couple of questions. I know he's got a meeting here in just a few minutes, so we won't keep him very long.
Yeah, I'll just try to make it brief. 1816 was the first Stirling engine that was patented and demonstrated. And off and on over the years, they've been used for various things, but the kinematic engines have mechanical linkages, connecting rods, and oil lubricated crankcases with sliding seals. And oil vapors will eventually leak past the seals and foul heat exchangers. So they have limited life and reliability, need major maintenance periodically, at least every few months. Free piston, on the other hand, as I mentioned, in 1962 was conceived. There's been a lot of work done on those in the interim. And one good example is engines we built for NASA have been operating for over 17 years at NASA Glenn Research Center, 3 of them, with zero maintenance and zero degradation of performance. For dynamic power systems, they set world's records on that many years ago. They have one unit they took down at about 12 years and examined it in detail. There's no basic reason it shouldn't go for many, many more decades. So we have a very long life, high reliability, hermetically sealed Stirling machines. The Delta free piston Stirling machines to date have been beta and gamma, kinematic or alpha, beta, and gamma. The Delta is a new version of free piston alpha for the first time. And it has a lot of advantages over previous engines. All the life and reliability of the free piston machines with the stability and higher power capability of kinematic machines, kind of the best of both worlds together there. So we're integrating that with phase change salt thermal energy storage, which is a unique new concept for concentrating solar power that enables very, very long life, maintenance free solar power generation and storage to continue 24/7 operation.
Go ahead, Dan, and ask him a few questions.
So first of all, I want to apologize. I'm not a solar expert, but I'm more on the usage of solar, right? So, again, with the rise of AI, the AI machines, the AI engine, so-called, is very power hungry, extremely power hungry. I love AI, and so I guess the basic question is, how do you foresee strategically this helping that need? Because it's not going to go anywhere, right? The AI is going to just keep growing. All the data centers are going to be even getting bigger. They're talking about the nuclear or the mini nuclear model, and how would this help? How do you compare that with, like I said, the current solar farms out there? There are solar farms. I've seen them, right? In Nevada, there's a lot. And how do you compare that kind of, and also in light of, so what is your unique selling proposition in that context? So the context is the kind of the data center, it's going to go crazy. It's going to be very hungry. And then they look at nuclear as one thing, that's okay. But then there's also the farm of solar out there. And how do you distinguish yourself from that? So what's your unique?
Okay, this system will be more sustainable and eco-friendly than any alternative. Compared to the existing photovoltaic or PV systems that are hundreds of gigawatts of that installed, and the cost has dropped to very low levels. But the sun doesn't shine at night or when you have clouds. And so you have to have storage, and battery storage is very expensive. Existing molten salt systems are 50 to 100 times cheaper than battery storage. And so concentrating solar power is existing about 6 gigawatts worldwide with the molten salt energy storage. And that can go for several hours after sunset to keep things going. What I have is a phase change salt thermal energy storage, which is much more compact, simpler. It's a hermetically sealed system that does not require any of the pumps and other devices that are used in the existing molten salt systems. So the storage is considerably cheaper and simpler than the existing molten salt systems that are 50 or 100 times cheaper than battery storage. And so it will be a very low cost storage and also maintenance free. The existing molten salt system is pretty high maintenance. Mine is hermetically sealed, so it does not require any normal maintenance, and the same for the Stirling engines. So we have our goal is directly to um, introduce this to AI server farms as the preferred power system. It's eco-friendly and sustainable compared to any other systems, even including the current solar, which has some heavy metals and problematic disposal and mining elements to it. I don't use any of those kinds of systems. It's mainly made of steel, and salt is sodium chloride, sodium fluoride, which are completely innocuous environmentally and low cost. So low cost, sustainable, eco-friendly solar power is what we want to provide first to AI and ultimately to utility scale around the world. It scales up, can scale up very rapidly once the prototypes are proven out.
Do I get it right that this practically is maintenance free and consumable free?
That's correct. The power source is the sun, which is completely sustainable. The
Right.
mirrors to heliostat mirrors to focus the heat to melt the salt. Those need washing periodically,
Yeah.
and the Stirling engines use an automotive style radiator to reject heat. So that has a pumping of coolant through the system, and with fans that will require maintenance occasionally. They should be able to go for several years, but those will be occasionally maintained. Very simple and uh, low cost to replace those if needed. But the primary things of storing the solar power to operate at night and operating continuously, those are hermetically sealed systems that really are not subject to maintenance. Uh, as I mentioned, NASA has 3 engines that have operated for 17 years, hermetically sealed with no maintenance, no degradation of performance. Even solar cells degrade in performance. In any power system has a certain degradation level. It may take several years, but this in 17 years, there's no change. It's operating just like it did day one.
So you talk about this the Stirling and kind of the storage, if I understand it correctly. And what kind of solar system are you using? Are you is
This,
it is it all in one, or is it a
this is concentrating solar power, which uses mirrors to focus on a tower. And
got it?
those are used now typically at 100 megawatt
Oh,
size. Mine is much smaller, 1 megawatt size. So, say you wanted a 100 megawatt server farm for an AI, instead of one big power system that if there's any problem, it shuts down. This would be 100 1 megawatt, in each one completely independent, but tied together electrically to provide the electric power. And if any one or three go down and need to be repaired or replaced, the rest continue generating normally. So it means that for this kind of a power system or for utilities, you never have to shut a plant down. The
mm,
only thing you might have to do occasionally is to replace some of the megawatt modules. But a gigawatt utility scale power system, for example, there would be 1,000 of these. So that it enables continuous operation with never shutting down utilities. So that's provides a number of unique benefits and should be lower cost than any solar or wind plus storage system today.
Wow. So it's high available because you're talking about business continuity, right? So if one is down, the other one can kind of balance out instead of the whole farm, the whole thing just went down.
Each one is operating independently. So if one goes down, all the rest don't even know it.
That's huge. And without getting into detail on the patent itself, so you own the patent, the general patent for this technology.
I do have patents on both the phase change salt thermal storage and the Delta Stirling engine. And I have a number of patentable improvements on both those, some of which are very significant that once I get this funded, I plan to file several more patents to have longer term protection for the investor.
Some great questions there. Great questions. So
I have
Dan,
I have a couple more.
yeah, go for
So
it. Go for it.
how can we help, right? So what do you need in regards to actionable and timing? I think it's impeccable right now, right? Because AI is booming. It's hungry. I'm in the AI area, and I think a lot of the leaders now, the upcoming leaders, without going into political, but it's they're very open for technology, very friendly for technology. So how can we help? How can we participate in this? What do you need? Kind of level one, level two, level three.
Okay, well, right now my team is seeking $5 million to scale up from the laboratory demonstration that we have made, integrating a 3 kilowatt free piston Stirling engine with 10 kilowatt hours of thermal storage. So we've shown that it operates in a laboratory mode like that. We want to scale up to a 25 kilowatt Delta Stirling engine and 150 kilowatt hours of thermal energy storage. So we're looking for $5 million to do both of those things first independently as laboratory demonstrations and then putting them together as a complete power and storage system. We will So that will be a significant scale up, and the further scale up is only a factor of 2 to 50 kilowatts for the engines, and there will be 20 of those on a 1 megawatt tank, and so the salt will have to scale up. But this is big enough to demonstrate that scalability in at $5 million, and I have a team of 18 former colleagues and former competitors who have really bought into this concept that are available to as staff on demand to develop the Delta Stirling engine. We plan about 1 year to develop the complete 25 kilowatt Stirling engine, and in parallel with that, I have another team that has the proper experience to implement the 150 kilowatt hour thermal energy storage salt system that will be doing that in parallel. By the end of a year, we should be able to put those together as a complete system, and that retires pretty much all the questions someone might have on the scalability of this. So after that, it will be significantly larger investment to demonstrate a 1 megawatt module. Once that is done, it can be scaled up very very rapidly using automotive type manufacturing for the Stirling engines, and that's been demonstrated already at a company called Cunergy, which is a successor to a company I started back in 1985, and they have thousands of 6 kilowatt free piston Stirling engines in the field now. Some of those have been going for more than 7 years with no problems, millions of operating engine hours out in generally very harsh conditions, because these are remote power systems, typically on gas pipelines and in remote areas. So that technology and the production capability is well established, and we can expand that using automotive scale systems to grow it very rapidly once it's proven out.
Actually, you answered my next question about condition. Is there a particular area that this won't work, or will this work? Of course, in a sunny area will help, but
Yeah,
but anywhere, right?
yeah. You want to do these in areas that have high insulation, as the industry calls it, the solar input, which is the desert Southwest in the U.S., um, Middle East, Northern Africa is a great site. South Africa has some great uh, high insulation areas, along with a number of areas in South America. So there's a lot of the world, a very small, tiny fraction of the available high quality solar power in the deserts of the US can provide all of the power consumed by the US. So it's ubiquitous, can be applied worldwide once the technology is demonstrated.
Got it. And my last question is about the typical real estate size, right? So for every module, let's call it one kilowatt, what are we talking about here? Is this the size of a car?
The 1 megawatt
1 megawatt, yeah.
modules, um, I forget. I think it's about 2 acres.
Okay.
It's similar to what to the area required by PV to
Okay.
generate a megawatt, except we're really generating effectively 2 megawatts, because during the day it's generating the megawatt directly, but it's also storing the heat energy to operate through the night. So it effectively takes about half of the surface area required by existing PV farms.
That's a very good point. This is literally a 24/7, because
Yes.
at night it's generating. What happened when it's cloudy, right? How do you?
You can use any natural gas or other fuel to maintain seamless operation during cloudy periods. Ideally, I would like to, when you're not requiring peak power, use the excess power being generated to generate hydrogen, green hydrogen, to store on site, so that when you get into cloudy periods, uh,
Salt, yeah.
you just use the hydrogen to keep the salt melted. That's all that's needed to keep the sun molten salt, and you're generating the megawatt of power. So it can operate with hydrogen storage. You'd have green power continuously.
Wow. Yeah, we need to share this. I don't know. I call it the gospel, right? Because this is, yeah. I mean, I don't have any more question, but I'm learning quite a lot, and I will share it with a couple of people that I know, specifically in South America. And there's also a big project. You probably heard about this, mostly on PV. Unfortunately, in Southeast Asia, it's probably one of the biggest PV farm. So I was involved a while back, and I need to just reach out to one of the leader and see what you guys speak the language a lot better in the solar language. And so yeah, thank you again, Maury. Thank you,
Thank
Jason,
you,
for the
Dan, for
opportunity.
coming on and asking your questions.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
definitely.
mean, I'm here. I'm the AI guy. So I need more power.
Well, and Dan, we really do appreciate you stepping over. So again, if you don't mind, for those that wasn't here with us earlier, just repeat, tell us who you are, where you came from, and tell us how we can get in contact with you, how people can find you.
Uh, okay, I'm Maury White with Stirling Innovations, and you can reach us at stirlinginnovations.com. That's STIRLING. Um, and you'll find on the website there an article from Solar Today magazine last fall that describes descriptively the concept that we're talking about in significant detail, and also a 30-page white paper that provides a lot of the detailed backup to support the claims that I've made.
And so, Dan, if you don't mind, go ahead and refresh our memories on who you are and how we can find you.
Well, my company is called Simplexa, Simplexa.ai. What we do practically, we provide CXO, fractional CXO services from small businesses, startups, and all the way to the largest company is in South America, and so that one is a CTO. So we provide strategic technology direction. I've been doing tech, oh my goodness, since 1991. Not as long as Maury doing Stirling engine, but since 1991, and mostly in software development. So our background is in enterprise architecture, infrastructure architect, design, solution, IBM, and some other companies. So yeah, and anybody that needs help in regards to using the technology and the exponential growth of technology, we are here as your extended partner. You can contact me anytime. There's really no charge for consulting, and then we can size you accordingly. If you're a startup, obviously, if you make less than X amount of dollar, there's a different tier for it, and if you all the way up to, I think our largest one is a $50 million company. We have over 68 paid clients right now, and but they're fractional. We're not interested in full time. We're coming into designing a strategy, building a team, and then we get out. We teach you how to fish. We don't fish for you.
That's spectacular. So definitely, folks, reach out to Dan. He's also on LinkedIn. We'll put his contact information in the description after this. Y'all bear with Old Country. This is our first time really piping out for
You're doing a great job, Jason. You're doing a great job. So,
and so
thank
we
you.
appreciate everybody stepping over. We'll be bringing Maury back on and going in a deeper dive. We don't want to wear him out on his first debut, but he's done an excellent job. And Dan, I really appreciate you being here because you've got some questions that even myself I hadn't even thought to ask. And so, folks, I invite you. We'll be bringing Maury back on in the very near future and doing some frequently asked questions and go over some more of his history. Make sure you reach out, visit stirlinginnovations.com. Again, we'll put the links in the chat or put the links in the description of the video. So we do appreciate it. Dan, I know we're right on the time that you need to be going. So, y'all,
Yes.
we just appreciate you. And Dan, have a great one.
Thank you. Thank you, Maury. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Dan.
Talk to you soon.
And with that, folks, we'll just go ahead and close this out. Maury, I've enjoyed it. I'm glad to get to finally start these interviews, and we're gonna try to make this a regular session, and we'll be announcing the times. It'll probably be on Thursdays, and we'll start bringing you on and do a little more question and answers. And I should have done a transition. Sorry about that, but basically, we really enjoyed it. So again, folks, Maury White with Stirling Innovations. And with that being said, make sure you join the ICAST Enterprises community and you'll meet more like-minded individuals like Maury. Maury, any last words?
I appreciate your getting going on this, Jason, and really looking forward to turning this into reality and providing abundant green power initially for AI and eventually for the world's power needs, sustainable, eco-friendly, more so than and low cost compared to any alternatives. So,
all right.
Thank you a lot.
With that, folks, we're going to sign off. Maury, just hang on for a second. But like I said, just reach out. If you've got any questions, put it in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to address them in future episodes. So thank you for joining us. Have a great day.